I'm walking along some ancient stone walls, and to the right of me I've got the turrets and I've got the lookout points. I can currently see a lot of roadworks going on, and on the other side of me I've got what is turning into a sheer drop with no kind of barrier between me and it. Now, for someone like me who is not great with heights, this maybe wasn't the best idea to shake off last night's beers and wine and pies, because I am in one of my favourite cities in the whole world. I'm in the beautiful city of York, and I've taken a bit of time out while my wife does some Christmas shopping to go atop the walls, which I've never done before. I've been here several times. I've never actually walked the whole way round on the walls, and I thought today would be my first time. Yeah, it's a lot higher than I thought. If you suddenly hear my voice disappearing, it's not an effect. I've fallen to my death. The way this wind is picking up, it could actually happen. So, first of all, a festive greeting to all of you. I hope that you're having a lovely December. That pre-Christmas tingle is very much in the air. Still feels a bit magical. And, everything feels magical in York for me. It's a city that I had no prior experience of until maybe 2017, when my wife and I first came up here for a sort of couples trip. A year and a half later, I got down on one knee on these streets and asked her to be my wife. And she's been regressing it ever since. But it's a very romantic place, is York. And though I am a Winchester boy and went to university in another walled city, Chester, I've discovered a newfound love for all things old and spooky in York. So, atop the windy turrets, I'm wondering what kind of poem I should do for you today, and I've really wrapped my brains about this one because it sort of didn't really feel right to do anything else. But I'm gonna dust off a very well-known poem, but it's very well known as an actual song. Today's poem is going to be A Christmas Carol. No, not that Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, but A Christmas Carol, otherwise known as In the Bleak Midwinter, by none other than Christina Rossetti. Before I go any further with the poem, I'd just like to give a little bit of a shout out to all the people that listen. I've had a real spike in download numbers recently. I'm not sure why. I've been featured on the radio a couple of times, so if it's down to that, wonderful. If not, and this is your first time listening, or you're a new listener, welcome. Just a little bit of housekeeping. I do this podcast as and when I can find the time. I don't make any money from it. It's purely a labour of love. You can support me on Patreon if you are keen. All I can offer is if you sign up to one of my tiers, you can request a poem, and I'll do my best to oblige, and I'll dedicate that poem to you, and I'll give you a nice breakdown on it. I know that this would become unsustainable if lots of people did subscribe, but that's one of those good problems, and I would do my best to make it happen for you. So how's that? For the price of a cup of coffee, you could hear me waxing lyrical about one of your favourite poems. Anyway, now that is over with, we'll get to today's episode. First published in January 1872 in the Scribner's Monthly. It was a poem written by Rossetti all about the birth of Christ. Now, just to get things off on to the right tack here, I am not a religious person. I do not believe in Almighty God and Jesus, etc. But what I do believe in is the power of words. which is kind of why we're here, really. Whatever your religious leanings, please don't take offence. I'm here to talk about the poem, and Rossetti herself incredibly devout and religious, so this poem is written from the heart. In the bleak midwinter, frosty wind made moan. Earth stood hard as iron, water like a stone. Snow had fallen, snow on snow, snow on snow, in the bleak midwinter, long ago. Our God, heaven cannot hold him, nor earth sustain. Heaven and earth shall flee away when he comes to reign. In the bleak midwinter, a stable place sufficed, the Lord God Almighty, Jesus Christ. Enough for him whom cherubim worship night and day, a breastful of milk and a manger full of hay. Enough for him whom angels fall down before, the ox and ass and camel which adore. Angels and archangels may have gathered there, cherubim and seraphim thronged the air, but only his mother, in her maiden bliss, worshipped the beloved with a kiss. What can I give him, poor as I am? If I were a shepherd, I would bring a lamb. If I were a wise man, I would do my part. Yet what I can, I give him. Give my heart. It's very hard to read that poem without bursting into song. I've performed this poem as a song, certainly once in public. The Harold Darke version, which is sung more of an anthem. So the congregational one was the one by Gustav Holst. The Harold Darke version is far more, it's supposed to be done by like a trained choir rather than a congregation. And it kind of goes, in the bleak midwinter, frosty wind made moan, and stood hard as iron, water like a stone, or something like that. Whereas the one that everyone knows is the congregational one. So it's really hard to just read the poem, and it's quite strange to think that when it was first published, it was just literally that. It was a poem, and like a lot of great poems that get set to music, I think of Blake's Jerusalem, even though it's originally not called that, of course. It's the oh god, I'm going to forget it now. Albion poem. Until set to music, these lyrics don't often take on the same meaning. So it's a wonderful example of how music and lyrics and the music of words can really all fit together. But to the poem as an entity, as a thing in its own right, it's a really beautiful setting of the poem, and it is kind of incongruous, because if this is supposed to be the birth of Jesus in Palestine, the idea of there being frosty wind and snow is kind of incongruous. It can snow in that part of the world. It's not that common. So I don't know how much of that is to do with Rossetti maybe even being slightly influenced by Charles Dickens and the Victorian Christmas, which didn't really exist until A Christmas Carol, the novella, was published. The concept of the frosty snow was very much not an invention, it's sort of a reflection of the time. Now, if you want to actually hear a wonderful podcast, which really, I don't play in this guy's league at all. He's awesome. He's one of my inspirations. You could do worse than to listen to Hypnogoria by Mr. Jim Moon. He did an excellent thing all about the Victorian Christmas and Victorian Christmas ghosts. I need to find the exact episode link, but I'll put it in the show notes. And he talks about how Dickens essentially was influenced by, there was almost a mini ice age when Dickens was quite young, which would have added to this sense of Christmas being a snowy and frosty time with all of the picture postcard ideas. As it stands, today is definitely very cold and kind of a grey, blustery sort of day rather than nice and snowy. Although I'm very glad it's not snowing, because I do have to get home tomorrow morning, and we've got a very long drive back down to Hampshire. We had a bit of a tough journey up here with the rain, but the weather's been good so far. Yes, I'm just stood here on the edge of the walls, looking out over what would appear to be the edge of the city. I can see the traffic going one way and the other, people all going about their Sunday lives here. Just off over there, the sun is just threatening to peep through and say hello and try to give us a little bit of warmth, although we're already at the point of the day where it feels like it's starting to get dark again. The very first line, "In the Bleak Midwinter," it's a strange one because it's such a sad line, so melancholy. In the bleak midwinter, the idea of something being bleak, it having nothing, it not holding anything, and yet in amongst this bleakness, we have this we have this event, we have this wonderful thing that happens. If you're a believer, then that is why we celebrate Christmas, of course. But we've always tried to celebrate this time of year. We've always tried to bring a little bit of light to the darkness, both literally and metaphorically. Christmas is a time of year for remembering people. It's a time of hoping and wishing for better. And that's why we try to spend time with family, and it's why people are nice to each other, try to be nice to each other at Christmas. It's also the idea of this frosty wind-made moan, this almost onomatopoeic sense of the moaning wind. So it starts off with this real sort of dark and bleak and sad tone, and the snow had fallen, snow on snow, snow on snow. When you read it and you don't sing it, because you normally hold the line snow on snow, it slows right down. But this actually, reading it aloud, makes it feel a little bit more, it emphasises the repetition. And of course, sometimes repetition of one thing can actually be very effective. There is so much snow, it had fallen on itself and again and again and again. And I can't help but feeling, when I walk around some of these old parts of the city, and I think of people from the past. I think of walking around here in Victorian times, or going even further back to when it was, say, a Viking settlement of Jorvik. And I think about how unbelievably hard life would have been just to get through each year, and people did stuff around this time of year just to cheer themselves up. I've just left the walls. They naturally conclude down near me, next to the beautifully named Bitch Daughter Tower, which didn't make me laugh, of course, because I'm far more mature than all of that. And I'm just crossing the River Ouse. Again, another beautifully named place. They really like to name things perfectly up in Yorkshire, I found. I've taken a bit of a detour and I found myself down walking by the riverside. It's churned up and very brown today, not surprising given the weather and time of year. This is the side of York I don't get out to very often, so it's nice to take it in and take in some fresh air as well. Going back to the poem, the way that it shifts from this initial setting, in the bleak midwinter, long ago. And I like this idea that at Christmas time we tell stories of the past. We tell stories of things that have happened long before us, and sometimes they're comforting, but it also comes back to that idea, this very Victorian sensibility of sitting around and telling stories. And the creation story is one of those. Everybody knows it, regardless of your religious leaning. Most people have been in a nativity play and they understand the whole concept of it. And there's something very human actually about the idea of everyone gathering round when a child is born. I do remember, obviously, this time 2 years ago, we had a little infant of our own just arrived in the world, and our local pub, which we were going to fairly frequently for something to do in the build up to the birth, and having a nice Sunday afternoon roast and stuff like that. Every time we came in, the barman would look over and sort of spot, nope, still pregnant, okay, still pregnant, and then obviously we weren't there for a few weeks, and then when we did come in again, the place stopped. Almost everybody in there, all the regulars, they stopped. We had this little infant, and it was like a nativity scene. Suddenly all these people came over to start looking into the pram, and all of this. It's quite magical, I think. And whether or not you believe Jesus was the Son of God, somebody has come into the world, and that in its own sense is a wonderful thing. So the poem moves then on to the idea of our God, heaven cannot hold him, nor earth sustain. I've always wondered what that means. Is that the idea that we don't deserve the Son of God? We don't deserve this level of blessing? Because as humans, as we've shown time and time again throughout history, we're going to balls it up. We can't have nice things because we're human and we get it all wrong. Is that what it means? Nor earth sustain? I mean, it certainly seems that way. That's one of the most important things, is to ask yourself why do we project all of our hopes and fears onto the next generation? Well, I suppose we want life to be different for them. We want them to have things that we couldn't have. And that's, I think, there's that sense of a stable place. In this case, literally the stable, the Lord God Almighty Jesus Christ. We have him here now. Things are going to get better from this point on. Well, I must say I'm hopelessly lost, but I'm rather enjoying it, actually. So it appear I'm on this really tiny little footbridge where the river splits in two. I must find out what this is called. It's a beautiful, beautiful day, and there's almost nobody else around. A couple of very cold-looking fishermen over there on the bank. A nice breeze coming through. I just found out this is the Foss Barrier, I believe. That's what they do to block off the river, the bit that runs through the city, when it gets too high, so that there isn't a load of essentially like backdraft. Is that even a phrase for rivers? What does it say here? Backflow. Yeah. So built after the severe floods of 1979 and 1982. When the gate is released, it effectively blots the River Foss, preventing any backflow from the Ouse. There you go. And we're just further up from the Blue Bridge, which is the one I was just walking on, and that was erected in 1738. Blimey. I thought it looked old. Then, like most things around here. Call off the search. I have refound the walls. It's funny, really, for such big things, they do hide them very well in New York. But then it has that marvellous, charming thing of just having really old stuff plonked right in the middle of the city. I have scaled these city walls, only to be with you, but I still haven't found what I'm looking for. Well, now that I'm back where I belong, I'll tackle the rest of the poem. So, the animals all looking sort of adoringly down on baby Jesus. I mean, I sometimes see this with my little girl, where the dog just sort of looks at her lovingly and she totally ignores him, or sometimes says, "Go away, dog." She's really mean to him. Not cruel, just like disdainful. But then she's like that with me as well, so who knows, I probably deserve it. And the idea of them all looking down upon him in this manger, it does come across slightly comical, I think, these days. And it's interesting as well that only somebody as devoutly religious as Rossetti could write a breastful of milk in a pure sense, and unfortunately over 100 years later she wouldn't be expecting puerile schoolboy titters, if you pardon the pun, at such a line. But again, the idea of birth, the idea of motherhood, and of course the symbolic and very literal nature of giving this baby its first bit of food on this earth once it's actually breathing its own air. It's a scary time. Scary enough when you're in a hospital, let alone when you're in a manger, because there's no room at that inn. Another big part of it, of course, is the angels and archangels thronging in the air. Again, all this idea of the coming of Christ. And now he is here, we can all rejoice and be happy, for he is born. I'm always a little bit sketchy on those details though, because the poem's real power lies in its final stanza. Because it is about the idea of giving. And without getting too mawkish and sentimental about it, I think we have all in our life been caught up in worshipping at the altar of Christmas, spending money that we don't really have for people we don't really like at times, or in the case of, some people, having it as a really stressful time that they don't have anything to give, or they are struggling. We're living in a cost of living crisis. The way that people feel about Christmas, the thought of not having enough money to buy your kids presents. That's a reality for someone right now, and if it's a reality for you listening right now, I'm here to tell you that you're not a failure. Times are hard. And without sounding too god-awful cheesy, I think this final couple of lines says it perfectly. Yet what I can I give him, I give my heart. And whenever I'm having a bad day, feeling like a rubbish dad, I have to remind myself that what I can give to my little girl is all of me. I mean, she's too young to understand the concept of presents and Christmas just yet, but as she gets older that will become a feature. And I think all you can really give to anyone in your life, children or otherwise, is a bit of yourself. Give your heart. Excuse me, hi. I'm recording a podcast on these walls. Are you from York, or are you just visiting today?
Unfortunately, no, we're not. Sorry,
we're
just visiting.
Where have you travelled from?
Chester.
Oh, Chester.
They're travelling from Italy, actually. So yeah.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
So you've gone from one walled city to another, have you?
Yeah.
Yes,
I went to uni in Chester, so I know it
lovely.
quite well. Very quick question: do you have a favourite Christmas song? If I had to put you on the spot, what would you say that would be? Fairy Tale of New York.
Yes. Controversial, but I like it.
No.
That's my least favourite.
Yeah, that's your least favourite, isn't it? So.
Io ho il libretto delle canzoni.
She has Christmas carols with us, so she's like, I can choose.
Oh really?
Yes.
Oh wow. Oh yes,
can
so
choose
took them
one of those.
to
Beer and carols.
Beer and carols
Beer
at
and
a
carols,
pub.
yes.
Beer and carols.
Yes, and it was.
Excellent.
He's
So next time you're in Chester, you need to check it out.
I probably will.
La 2 è la tua.
Are you gonna sing?
Io,
You don't have to sing, it's okay.
yeah, no, la 2 era la tua. La sua era la
Qual è la
2.
tua dillo?
I'm just looking because the one I'm covering on this podcast is called In the Bleak Midwinter. You may have heard of it.
It's not on there.
It's not on there. I see.
They
It's
are
not.
quite biblical,
It's
though.
not. It's not that jolly, is it? Oh,
Ding
well.
dong merrily on high.
There you
That's
go.
your one.
If you like that one.
It's my favorite.
Thank
Which
you
one is
so
your
much.
favourite?
Oh well, I think it probably is In the Bleak Midwinter. That's why I'm doing an episode on that poem. It was a poem before they then put it to music.
Left.
I try and read it in a fitting setting. So York City will seem like a good place. Thank you for taking the time to
luck.
talk to me.
Take care.
Thank you.
Grazie.
Have a good day.
See you. Now there's an idea. Fairy Tale of New York as a poem. Scumbag and maggots. Sorry to bother you. Can I just ask you a very quick question? I'm recording for a podcast. And I'm just asking people what their favourite Christmas songs are. Do you happen to have one?
Mine's One Last Christmas.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. Oh, what about that? Oh, you're thinking Wham, George Michael and all that one. That's a good one. I'm more general, so I can't really. I'll let you choose one. Go on.
Oh, no problem at all. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me. To be fair, Last Christmas does have that line, I gave you my heart. So who knows, maybe Mr. Michael had a bit of a thing for Rossetti's poetry. Who knows? Woo, and I've just walked back up on the Layerthorpe part of the city walls, and I'm greeted with probably the best sight in the whole of the city, and that is of the York Minster, towering above everything. And I'm just coming to the corner and hoping that I can make it up this last bit of uphill. Tell you what, walking around these walls is quite the workout today. I skipped my morning run in favour of staying in bed, so a brisk walk is going to have to do. I think the thing with the Minster is it just sort of sits smack bang in the middle of the city. Makes everything look very, very small in comparison. Thank you. And I am hoping that any minute now we're going to hear the Minster give us a bit of bell ringing, for it is nearly midday, and as we approach midday, that'll be the end of my podcast. So thank you so much, folks, for listening to another episode of Sketch Poetry Podcast. I've been your host, Joe, and this is me signing off. Here we are. Merry Christmas, everybody.